When I bought that piece of land beside the Silverwood Lake, I thought I had found paradise. The view was breathtaking. Calm blue water, pine trees reflecting on the surface, and the kind of silence you can only find miles away from the city. My plan was simple: build a small cabin by the lake, a private dock, and enjoy the quiet life I'd always dreamed of. But that dream didn't last long. The problem started the very first week after I moved in. Across the lake stood a fancy gated community, the Silverwood HOA, and leading it was a woman who could only be described as the definition of Karen. Her name was Pamela, but everyone called her Karen behind her back. She had short blonde hair, oversized sunglasses, and the kind of confidence that made everyone else nervous. On my second day, she showed up at my property uninvited. "Excuse me," she shouted, strutting over in her floral dress and heels, on muddy ground, mind you. "You can't just build here. This area falls under Silverwood HOA jurisdiction." I blinked, confused. "Ma'am, this land isn't part of your HOA. I bought it from the county auction. It's legally separate." Her lips tightened. "That lake belongs to the community. You can't just pollute it with your private projects." "I'm not polluting anything. I'm just building a small dock." Pamela gave me a look like I had just insulted her ancestors. "We'll see about that." Over the next few weeks, things escalated fast. HOA members started driving by slowly, taking pictures. My mailbox was mysteriously smashed one morning. Someone even threw a pile of HOA regulations printouts on my doorstep. Then came the letter, a notice of violation from Pamela's HOA, demanding I cease all unauthorized construction. I laughed at first, but when the county office confirmed I wasn't under HOA control, I knew this was turning into a battle of pride. Pamela wasn't protecting her neighborhood. She just couldn't stand that. Someone else owned a piece of the lake she thought was hers. That's when I decided, if she wanted to play games, I'd play too. But I'd do it by the book, and maybe, just maybe, hit her where it really hurt. Because the property line between us ran right through her perfectly manicured backyard, and I had just gotten the idea of building a fence. The next morning, I went straight to the county office and confirmed every inch of my property line. And to my surprise, and Pamela's upcoming nightmare, the survey clearly showed that 5 feet of her backyard actually extended onto my land. She had built her rose garden, bird bath, and half her precious white picket fence right over my side of the boundary. When I realized that, I smiled for the first time in weeks. If Pamela wanted to play by the rules, then rules were exactly what she'd get. I filed for a permit to install a privacy fence, a tall, sturdy wooden one that would follow my exact property line. The county inspector approved it within a week, and when the construction truck showed up in front of Pamela's house, her jaw nearly hit the ground. She came storming out the moment the workers started unloading materials. "What is this?" she barked. "My fence," I said calmly, sipping coffee. "It's going right along the property line." "You can't build that! It ruins the neighborhood view!" "Well," I said with a shrug, "technically, it's not in your neighborhood." That was the first time I saw the rage flicker behind her perfect smile. For the next few days, the HOA went into overdrive. Members came to inspect my construction, taking pictures and muttering about aesthetic violations. Pamela tried to stop the workers by threatening them with community fines. They ignored her. I had shown them the legal documents myself. Then, one evening, I came home to find my construction materials tossed into the lake. The lumber was soaked, nails missing, and tire tracks led right back to the HOA gate. I called the sheriff. Pamela tried to play innocent, pretending she saw some kids near my lot. The deputy wasn't buying it. He warned her that trespassing on private property would result in arrest. The next morning, the fence posts went back up, but this time I added a twist. The section running along Pamela's yard, I made it 8 feet tall, just within legal limits. It completely blocked her lake view, the same view she bragged about to every guest who visited. When she saw it, she actually screamed, like full meltdown in broad daylight. "You can't do this!" she shrieked. "You're ruining my property value." "Funny," I said, "you ruined my peace first." By sunset, the fence stood tall, clean, straight, and beautifully solid. But I knew Pamela wasn't done. She wasn't the kind of woman to admit defeat. No, this was just the calm before the storm. For about a week after the fence went up, things were quiet. Too quiet. Pamela didn't come outside to glare at me like she usually did. The HOA Facebook page stopped mentioning me every other post. Even the usual neighborhood patrol SUVs stopped driving by. I thought maybe she'd finally accepted defeat. I was wrong. One Saturday morning, I woke up to loud voices near my fence. I looked out the window, and there was Pamela, standing with two HOA board members, a landscaper, and what looked like a news reporter from the local channel. I stepped outside, coffee in hand. "Morning. Something I can help you with?" Pamela smiled, that fake, icy smile. "We're here to document an illegal construction project. This fence violates HOA visual harmony standards and damages property values." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean the fence that's legally on my property?" She ignored me and turned to the cameraman. "This man is destroying the beauty of our community. We tried reasoning with him, but he refuses to cooperate. It's harassment!" The reporter started recording. But before she could finish her dramatic speech, the landscaper tugged on her sleeve. Ma'am, your sprinkler line's leaking." Everyone turned. Sure enough, the section of her lawn next to my fence was bubbling like a mini geyser. Turns out, during one of her midnight sabotage attempts, she'd accidentally cut into her own water line. Pamela's face went pale, then red. That's not, it's his fault." "Lady," I said, chuckling, "you might want to call a plumber before you call the news." The reporter quickly realized this wasn't the story. She thought it was and packed up her gear. The HOA members awkwardly followed. But Pamela stayed, fuming, as muddy water flooded her yard. By the end of the day, half her roses were drowned, and her garden looked like a swamp. That night, she took it even further. She called the county to report me for illegal water diversion. Unfortunately for her, the county officer who came out was the same guy who approved my permit. He checked everything, shook his head, and handed me a copy of the report. "Fence is in full compliance. Property owner is not responsible for neighboring water damage." Pamela was speechless. The moment the county car drove off, she stomped to her porch and yelled across the fence, "This isn't over!" I just smiled. "Oh, I know," I said. That's why I installed cameras. After the waterline disaster, Pamela's reputation around the neighborhood began to crack. Word spread fast. Everyone knew she'd tried to frame me, and that her own revenge had literally flooded her yard. But instead of calming down, she doubled down. Over the next few days, she filed 3 complaints with the HOA about visual obstruction, 2 noise reports about my generator, and even a petition to have my fence removed. None of it worked, because once again, my land wasn't part of their HOA. Still, I could feel her eyes on me every time I went outside. She would stand at the top of her patio with binoculars, like she was running surveillance on a criminal. Her obsession was becoming unsettling. Then one evening, I caught her inside my property. Again. She was trying to loosen one of the fence posts. I turned on my porch light and said, "You're trespassing, Pamela." She froze. Then she saw the red light of my security camera blinking. "You can't record me," she screamed. "I can, and on my land," I said. "And I'm sending this footage to the sheriff." She panicked, tripped backward, and landed right into a pile of wet mud, still left over from her broken sprinkler line. I almost felt bad, almost. The sheriff came the next morning, reviewed the footage, and issued her a trespassing citation. That was the final straw. Pamela exploded like a volcano. "You've destroyed this neighborhood," she shouted as the deputy handed her the paperwork. "I built this community." "No," the deputy said calmly. "You built a mess." After that, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Half the board wanted her gone. Turns out homeowners were tired of her constant drama. The fines, the complaints, the lawsuits. Within a week, Pamela was voted out as HOA president. She couldn't stand the humiliation. A month later, her house went up for sale. I watched the for sale sign go in with a smirk and a sense of peace I hadn't felt since I moved in. When she finally packed up and left, she glared at me one last time through her car window. "Enjoy your stupid fence," she hissed. "Oh, I will," I said, waving. "It's got the best view in the world." After she was gone, I built a small dock on the lake, planted a few trees, and sat on my porch watching the sunset reflect off the water. For the first time, it was quiet again. No shouting, No HOA, just me, the lake, and the beautiful fence that started and ended it all.